according to census data, Illinois lost almost 300,000 people between the last two censuses, while the U.S. as a whole gained a 7% growth in population. What needs to be done to make Illinois a state that sees population growth over the next decade?
Well, one thing I want to say, I'll challenge that a little bit because we still know so many swaths of the population don't fill out the census. So I think we need to make sure we're doing a thorough job and getting to as many people, as possible so that we have the very accurate numbers. I heard a lot of concerns the last time that people don't feel comfortable. They think, you want to know their business and things like that. But I think we need to continue to be a family friendly state and also balance it with a business friendly state. We, of course, people don't like taxes and things like that. But I think that when you look at Illinois and what Illinois is doing as far as healthcare and things like that, and it gets named by Condé Nast the number one city to visit or also rates high as far as living in. But I think that's part of it. We need to do a better job with the census. I don't believe all of those people are leaving, but people do talk about, the cost of living and really that feeds in to my campaign, people over profits, that we have to make sure that, there's more housing and affordable housing, that there's access to health care, to quality health care, whether you're urban, suburban, or rural, that childcare doesn't cost more than rent, that people do really have economic opportunity to grow and live their best life.
Awesome. Senator Dick Durbin was one of the few Democrat senators that voted with Republicans to reopen the government during the shutdown. Would you have done the same?
No, I would not have voted with the senator this time. We vote a lot alike, but I would not have voted this time because look what's getting ready to happen. Even though we had four Republicans finally sign the discharge petition around extending the ACA, but we're leaving today, and people's uh, premium tax cuts are going to end, December 31st. So when we come back, hopefully in January, Speaker, well, he has to call the bill. Speaker Johnson will call the bill, and hopefully we can get it passed in the Senate. So even though Thune made promises, he can make promises for one house, but not both houses. And it doesn't mean Trump was going to sign the bill.
Um, Polling data shows at least 70% of Americans believe biological males should have no place in women's sports. Earlier this year, Illinois Senators Duckworth and Durbin voted no on the Protect Women in Sports Act. Would you have voted no? And should biological males compete in girls' sports in high schools in Illinois?
I'm not a doctor, but from my understanding, that men that are transitioning, if they have a certain amount of, or boys, a certain amount of estrogen, in their body, that is not the same as being a man. But also the other thing is, as I believe the governor of Utah realized, we're talking about such a small percentage of people, and the bottom line is they're still people, they're still human. So I think that there needs to be something that judges. I know people transition over, and but when I think about my colleague Sarah McBride, I would never think she's anything but a female.
Now, with the passage of the big, beautiful bill earlier this year, we got no
Some call it
tax
that.
on tips. Yeah. However, Illinois, along with Maine and the District of Columbia, has decided not to accept that and continue to tax tips. Do you support taxing tips?
um, yeah, actually, I've spoken to waitresses or waiters that I know, and they seem to have some problem with the bill also.
Understood. Uh,
So I guess what I'm saying is I want to do with the people in the industry, the people that it affects. That's what guides what I do. I go to the people that, bills and laws and programs are going to affect, the people closest to the problem or whatever the issue is are closest to the solution.
Now, there are currently multiple bills surrounding artificial intelligence that are floating around in Congress, many of them with bipartisan support. What kind of guidelines, safeguards, and policy do you think the federal government needs to implement to keep Americans safe from AI and to keep Americans from losing jobs to AI?
Interestingly enough, about 6 or 7 years ago, my colleague Will Hurd, Republican, who's not here anymore, we did a year-long study on artificial intelligence. We looked at national security. He was ex-CIA, so that was his interest, privacy, bias, and workforce. And I was very interested in the workforce development piece of it. And we met with university professors, people from all over, and actually passed a resolution. Need I do think we need safeguards like we need anything in tech and AI and all of that. And also we need to make sure we need to look at what the jobs could be and make sure that our workforce are prepared for those jobs. But definitely there needs to be safeguards around AI. I just saw something that someone did of me that I did not say it wasn't me. And so we do need to have protections around things like that and guidelines. There was a bipartisan committee, and there are recommendations that come from a bipartisan group of Congress folks.
Moving on to your economic plan, can you tell me a little bit about your 24-point economic plan?
Sure, I'm running on a platform of people over politics, and it really is getting to millionaires, billionaires, and corporations paying their fair share of taxes, their fair share. And I think with that, that would bring more money into the system, and we can invest in affordable housing, more housing, period, diversity in housing. In the richest country in the history of the world, the idea that everyone doesn't have affordable, accessible health care is absolutely ridiculous. The idea that people are paying more for, childcare, we're hoping to cap, what people have to pay of a certain income, and then pay raises on the federal level. 7.25 is the minimum wage. Other states, of course, have raised the minimum wage, and we need to do that also. And then we need to not just raise it and then forget about it. We need to look at, the cost of living and different things like that. So really, we cannot go back to the status quo. Things weren't perfect before, and when we get in, I would say when Democrats take the gavels back, as we like to say, we definitely need to make improvement in those areas: housing, healthcare, childcare, economic development, which will lead to economic opportunity for more people.
And I want to ask, is and why has the American dream become unaffordable?
I think, there's a variety of reasons we can talk about things that Donald Trump has done, as far as tariffs and things like that. But also, again, the well off and well connected continue to be well off and well connected, and that leaves those the what 95% of people or 90% of the people they're footing bills, they're paying the higher costs from things. I could go to like rent, Wall Street lawyers or companies that don't even live in areas are taking over buildings and raising rent. There's a lot of different things that are happening and have been happening over the years. It's not just now. He's making it much worse, but there are things we need to look at and improve upon.
And I want to ask, why did you vote yes on the Epstein Files Transparency Act?
Why did I vote yes?
Yeah.
Because I think we should not be protecting pedophiles, and they have to be the well off. Again, we go back to the well off and the well connected. They should not be above the law, and if they did something wrong, they should have to pay for it, like people with less money oftentimes have to do.
Understood. And why did you vote no on the Stop Illegal Entry Act of 2025?
Stop Illegal Entry Act of 2025. Refresh me on that one.
Oh, that one this is just a question they have for me. Why you voted no on the Stop Illegal Entry Act of 2025.
I would have to check back on that.
We can get back to you on
Yeah,
that.
because
Yeah.
it's sometimes we don't just go like by there's so many titles and
Oh,
numbers. I mean, it
gotcha.
sounds like um, I don't know. There's two things I'm thinking about, and I don't want to say which because I'm
Gotcha.
not absolutely sure.
Gotcha. It's a bill passed by the House of Representatives in September. It was sponsored by Republicans and significantly increases criminal penalties for illegal entry and re-entry into the United States.
Oh, why did I vote no?
Yes.
Well, I think, we need immigration reform, period. And, that's many different looks. The dreamers, the people that have been here, for over 11 million people that have been here and are paying taxes but get no benefit. I'm not saying we don't need border security. We do need border security, but we need to do a better job. We need border security, but we also need people, I say, like social worker people, civil servants that can really work with the people coming over. We need more ambassadors in the countries that people are coming from so we can deal with some of the issues right there in their own country. So, I don't think that solves a problem. I think we need to have a comprehensive approach to immigration reform, long overdue.